Jordan Halliday.
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 And Ian, I don't know your last name.
Hazel.
Hazel?
Yep.
Like the color?
Mm-hmm.
The color of your eyes?
It is, in fact, the color of my eyes.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Poetic.
Very much so.
Yeah. So you just got acupuncture, Jordan.
I did.
What was that like?
It was beautiful. It was the most relaxing thing I've ever done.
What do they do?
They pretty much just, they give you an assessment. They find out what ails you.
What is ailing you?
I'm having trouble sleeping.
Okay.
And so that's why I initially went there. And so they did a quick assessment on me and then put 7 needles in me.
Do the needles hurt?
They don't know. Like, I was okay with it. Like, I wasn't stressing at all because piercings and tattoos, it shouldn't be worse than that. And it wasn't. It was different because when it actually went in, I felt like a shock through my nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, oh, wow, this is doing something.
Like you actually felt them hit your nerves? Like, boom?
Yeah.
Just like a needle?
Yeah, like when the first one went in, I felt like a twitch all the way through my entire...
Where do you put the needles?
I had 2 between the web of each hand, and then on the corners of my knees, and then right above the web of my foot on both sides, and then one right in the middle of my forehead.
So, did he take off your shoes for you?
Or
did you?
It was actually a female acupuncture.
Oh.
But I took my own shoes off. You also shut down all your electronic devices and everything else, and then they just had the one that I went to was SLC Chi. It's like a community one, so there's about maybe 10 lazy boy chairs, and you just pick a chair that you want to sit in. There's a box next to the side. You put all your stuff into it, make sure your phone's off, and put your shoes and socks in there as well, and then...
So you're in this room with 10 other people?
It wasn't full when I was in there, but they were all ladies, and I was just some random punk kid with tattoos that came in.
What if you get a boner, like sticks one in and you just...
Then I guess you get a boner in front of everybody, just like in public.
Which only is with needles.
Only with needles.
They find out your fetishes.
Yes.
Well, one of them. Anyway.
I do have a needle fetish. It's true.
So you've had acupuncture too?
Yeah, I actually did it in addition to having chiropractor work done. The guy that was my chiropractor also specialized in acupuncture.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was definitely a really awesome experience. I guess I only had 5 needles instead of 7. I'm also scared to death of needles and sharp, pointy objects, but it didn't hurt at all. Couldn't feel it, and the 30 minutes that I had them in me passed by felt like 5 minutes.
Really? Did you do it more than once or just the one time?
I went to him twice while I was working at a warehouse doing a lot of lifting, and so my back was having a really hard time. And the first time I went, I got it done, and it was very relieving, and that was right around the time I quit. And then I went in one more time after I quit, and I haven't really had any back problems since. And that was kind of my diagnosis.
Really?
Yeah.
So is there scientific evidence to back acupuncture?
I'm not sure about that. I know that it's traditional Chinese medicine, so there is some loose scientific stuff for some things that it's done. I think it's mainly based on qi and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so the idea of qi is almost like the idea of a spirit or a soul, right?
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So being an atheist, how do you believe in qi if you don't believe in a soul?
I don't know.
No, seriously.
Well, I mean, because I'm also a black belt, and I've experienced the difference between using my qi to do something and then not using it. And I don't know if I don't know if I believe in the idea of qi. I know that there's something that's different, but I don't know. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a spiritual thing or a godly thing. I think it's, just like, people can read minds sometimes. It's just we don't understand our bodies fully, I don't know if you believe that.
You really believe people can read minds?
I think that I think sometimes there's some weird stuff that people can do.
You believe people could read minds?
No, not necessarily.
But you.
But okay, a better example is maybe like a mom getting super strength to lift a car off of her child.
It's called adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things that
It's
bodies do.
There's a very specific reason that can happen.
Yeah. Explain it, Mr.
It's
Scientist.
called adrenaline.
Explain adrenaline, Mr. Scientist. But no, I mean, but at the same time, like I've, doing karate. If you ki, then you
ki,
which is like when you hear somebody.
Is that when they grunt?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you have a stronger, more forceful punch when you're doing that, and it might not. It has probably nothing to do with something inside of you, but.
So let me hear you do it.
Huh?
Let me hear you do it. Do a punch.
Nah, I'm good.
It's like you're pushing out a fart or something.
Yeah.
Come on, for the people, Jordan.
Come on.
For the listeners.
Like that.
I like your little punch you did.
Thank you.
See, you notice how he went.
Oh yeah, you see the voice.
See, that's my chi right there.
Out of control.
We're
Yeah.
looking at the sound right now, and you can actually see where my chi has gone past.
Oh, it's disappearing. Oh, your chi is gone.
My chi's gone.
You just disproved atheism. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
It happens.
I'm an now believer.
I'm a believer in all things. But at the same time, I mean, I know so many atheists who believe in like ghosts and stuff like that, and it's something that's always been curious to me. Like, there is stuff that happens that's weird, and I don't understand it. But to say it's a spirit, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a spirit. I would say it's some electric magnetic energy or something. I don't know.
Well, I think it's pretty amazing how many atheists actually tend to believe in things that are somewhat spiritual just because of their upbringing. Like, I've known a lot of atheists, especially raised here in Utah, who don't realize that they're talking about spiritual things, like believing in ghosts, but I think there's just such a huge culture of religion around here that it just gets ingrained into people.
Do you think that's because they're too quick to latch on to atheism and not actually take the time to form a real opinion about it?
I think so.
Like, they go through the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it took me a long time to actually say, I'm an atheist. It took me,
Right.
But those are the things that, formed because of that. Because, well, here's a logical extension of atheism, so do I really believe in all these logical extensions?
Mm-hmm. Right, and I think that's a lot better of a way to approach it and go about it, rather than just seeing the idea of it and embracing it because it's a way to rebel against your upbringing or against the culture around here to begin with if you're not raised LDS, which I think is what most people do. And so,
I was just thinking about the thing that you were saying the other day about intelligent design.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, what was that again?
Oh, it was like, so Neil deGrasse Tyson was on one of the Nerdist episodes, and he was saying that, the easy way to argue against intelligent design is pretty simple. We use one hole to breathe, to speak, and to eat, which guarantees at some point you're going to use that hole for all three of the same things at once, and you're going to choke and die. And anyone who is intelligent would not design it so you have to breathe and eat through the same goddamn hole. Dolphins don't breathe and eat through the same hole. It's not like it can't happen.
Yeah.
It's not intelligent. There's lots of flaws in our design. He explained it way more elegantly, like Neil Tyson does, because he's a fucking genius. But it was really funny. So, yeah. Do you guys follow Neil deGrasse Tyson at all? Do you know who he is?
Nope.
He's an astrophysicist.
Okay.
And he has a podcast called Star Talk, and then he has a new show on Nerdist Industries. I'm like promoting Nerdist here. On Nerdist Industries called Star Talk, also as a video. He's pretty fucking awesome. He works really close with Bill Nye.
Nice.
Yeah, because Bill Nye is the president of one of those astrophysicist groups. I can't remember the name of it, that he's also a member of. It's the one that Carl Sagan started.
Well, I'm going to ruin everybody's childhood fantasies of Bill Nye for a second. I loved Bill Nye growing up, but I saw him at the airport, and maybe he was just in a grumpy mood. I don't know. But I went and asked for his autograph, and he was really mean to me. And that left an impression on me as a kid.
How did you ask for his autograph?
I just said...
Did you run up and say, I'm a little boy, suck my dick?
No.
Because that would leave... I would be pissed, too.
Well... No. But it was minus the sucking the dick part.
I'm a little boy.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, I just said, hey, Bill Nye, can I get your autograph? And he was like...
Did he give you an autograph?
Yes, he did.
Well, fuck you then.
Whoa. Fuck him for being grumpy about it.
Because some strange little kid is like, you know...
He should be... I was little. He should be nice to me.
You have no idea. Like, what if he found out his wife was having an affair on him that morning?
Yeah, I know. I don't have any idea what his life was. But he should realize that he left an impression on a little boy for the rest of his life.
He probably did.
And that's
later.
probably why I went to prison.
He's probably been...
The truth comes
The truth comes out. You're just looking for Bill
Jordan,
Nye.
talk to us a little bit more about that.
About prison?
No,
Yeah, well,
about the acceptance
about-
that you want from Bill Nye.
Yeah.
Is it because of your lack of a father figure?
It might be. You know, I got my father. He's a figure, all right.
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh because this is very serious. Go on.
Go on.
I don't know. That bugged me. That's all. I mean, I hope I didn't ruin your.
You're still. What's funny is how old were you?
I don't know.
No, seriously. What, 8, 6?
No,
You had to be at least 8 to 10.
Yeah, I was
to know
like,
who he is, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And
I'm
25, right?
Yes.
So you're going on.
Yes, I have a grudge against Bill Nye. I still watch his show.
Why are you holding on to all of this anger for these 13 years?
Because you should have been nicer to me.
Did you write him a letter?
I know.
Because
I should now.
I have heard that he does reply to every letter he gets.
Does he? I should write him a letter saying, "Hey, when I was like 10,
You were a dick.
you were a dick."
Do you remember what airport it was?
It was at Salt Lake.
Okay.
What the hell was he doing in Salt Lake City?
I don't know.
Yeah, ask him
back
that
then.
in the letter, too.
What were you doing here?
What if it really wasn't Bill Nye?
I'm sure he can answer that too, and I apologize if it wasn't.
Some random guy's like, fucking kid thinks I'm Bill Nye. Here you go.
Everyone always asks me for Bill Nye's autograph.
So that's my story about Bill Nye.
I like Bill Nye. Who was that guy? And for some reason, I always equate him with Bill Nye. I know they're totally different. But he did the show, I think it was on PBS, about the body, and he wore that bodysuit.
Oh, man. I know
Mr.
who you're
Peabody
talking
was it? No,
I have no idea.
Mr.
But, like, I've had nightmares about that guy.
When I was a kid, I used to always think it was Richard Simmons. I thought they were one and the same.
Why would he be Richard Simmons?
I don't know. Because
All I have, and like my memory could be way off base in this, I have this memory of him doing an episode on hiccups, right?
yeah.
And him saying that like the reason you have hiccups is because I can't remember which organ he said flops and it has to like get untangled or something.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, hold on. I can't verify this. I don't know where the fuck I got this from. Like I said, I don't know if this is real or not, but I have this whole image in my head of this show happening.
I just thought hiccups were a lack of oxygen, and that's why if you like, I know how to get rid of hiccups now by just swallowing, and then like if you breathe in and then swallow and breathe in until you can't anymore and hold.
I
it as long
always
as
thought
you can,
that
it goes
hiccups
away.
were a remnant of having gills.
Gills?
Yeah, from back when we were fish.
What we no, that's an evolution.
But
That's shady territory right there.
But that's what I think that's what it is.
Next
but for some reason, I have
we
this
got
whole
tails
like
too.
this whole show of him doing it. Like he was like dancing around like the fake models, and like I remember always looking at his package and being like, I can see his penis. Like, am I the only one who like looked at him and was like, I can see your penis?
I just like to note that's probably the 10th time you've mentioned dick in this little episode here.
Well, maybe if you put your pants on.
Sorry about that. I mean, they can't see.
When was the last time you saw him He's in a full body suit that was skin tight.
Yeah, no.
It was like skin tight, and then...
It had all the organs
But
on
it didn't have the penis organ. And that's what I remember thinking.
It had pelvic, though.
It had pelvic.
Yeah, it had
but there
pelvic.
was nothing right where his junk was. I'm
yeah.
like, you're anatomically incorrect.
Yeah.
I think
It always made me feel bad because I always looked at myself. I'm like, I have a penis and he doesn't. There's something wrong with me.
There is something wrong with you.
That I have a penis?
Let's hear about it.
I have a pretty average small sized penis. Thanks, Dad.
And
dads today. Godfather being somewhat of a figure.
Yeah. And then mutilation. Let's not even get on that side.
Let's not start talking about my dad now.
Well, let's start talking about your dad.
Oh.
Is your dad a figure? And did he give you like penis problems? Let's talk about that.
We'll start with he made me. Well, he didn't make me circumcise it personally, but it happened, and I'm not happy about it.
I'm not happy either.
On a serious note, would you guys circumcise a kid?
No.
No.
Nope.
I'm a hell no. My wife's a.
I'm not a hell no. I'm a but I'm more on the
So you're the same as your sister, basically.
I'm more on the no side.
You're more on the no side.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it right off the bat. Like if there's a problem, I would. I mean, I'm sure you would too.
I mean, I've heard there are health ramifications for not doing it that come up later in life, but
like
I'm also willing to believe that that's more of a religious twist to the idea.
All I know is the National Pediatric Association still does not recommend it.
Oh, they don't recommend it?
No, they haven't recommended it for a long time. Basically what they say is, look, we don't recommend it, but we leave it up to the individual parents to decide. We're not going to say no, you shouldn't do it, but we're not going to say yes, you should.
But it's interesting that outside of the Jewish communities that people are still doing it.
It's not just Jewish, it's Judeo-Christian.
Is it Judeo-Christian?
It's why Mormons still do it.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't think it was because like even Judeo-Christian religions like Catholicism,
how the hardcore
it.
Jews do it? I don't know. Is it appropriate to say Jews? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Jewish American.
What is it?
I don't even know if these are Americans. These can't be Americans. When they actually, with the Orthodox, they're trying to ban it. Right? Yeah, Rabbi does it, but I know they banned it in New York and they're suing over it because they actually have to suck the blood with their mouth.
Oof.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're taking this old guy and he's literally sucking on the penis, a bloody penis of this little baby. I'm sorry. Why would God want you to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, just seriously, the bacteria in your mouth, you're putting on an open wound.
Okay, at the same time, like, yeah, that's...
And I know that's like the hardcore Orthodox, but that's where it starts from.
But at the same time, I'm not really... As long... Okay, but that is violating the rights of someone, but... when it comes to like rituals and stuff like that of different societies, I just don't really care as long as it's not, it's not affecting somebody. But with that, you're taking the option away from the child at birth, so that's affecting them. But like if it were something like, spitting blood on a kid's face, for whatever reason, whatever culture that would want to do that. I don't care.
So you're okay with spitting blood on someone's face?
Yeah. Well,
that's cool.
But, I mean, that's where I come from. I like to spit blood on children's faces. But I don't have AIDS.
So take this full circle. If you're against circumcision on human males, are you against spaying and neutering?
It's touchy.
Why?
Because it is violating the animal's rights, yes.
Okay.
What about you?
From a hardcore animal rights stance,
then yes,
I think it's wrong.
Yes,
but I don't believe that we should ever. But okay, this is where it gets even worse. I know because I don't believe that we should have companion animals from a hardcore animal rights stance.
Yeah,
but they exist. It's no fault of their own,
and I love it, and it sucks.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm 100% against breeding, and I think the most responsible thing a steward can do is to not breed an animal. But I also realize it's impossible for anyone to guarantee that an animal won't be bred. because they could get out. They could, who knows, all the different possibilities. So it's like that gray area where, like, yes, I do feel it's technically wrong, but it's something that I think, as long as you want to make sure that more animals aren't born into slavery, sorry, it's what companion animals are, then you have to make sure that they don't continue to breed.
But I mean, there's also the argument of like, you have a child, right? And you're not going to be able to stop that kid from going out and going to their friends' houses, partying, doing drugs, drinking, having sex, all that kind of stuff.
Actually, that's what a chastity belt is called. Oh. That's why I've invested in iron chastity belts in all sizes. Liz wears one now. She's in kindergarten. So, it's for her protection.
Yeah.
She knows that. And plus, it helps weigh her down a little bit.
Good.
So, she's a little more chunky and people don't want to fuck with her.
And then you won't get in trouble for, having a malnourished.
She does have a little bit of a problem when she has to use the bathroom because she doesn't have a key. But, she's used to wearing diapers, so it's what,
And then she's going to be doing that up till...
21?
20, yeah.
21.
I was going to say 25.
Maybe 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's a good age to finally, get them into the dating.
Yeah. Be like, okay, now you can start dating women.
Okay.
And for those of you who are listening who think this is bizarre, this is actually really common in America.
This is especially
there's a whole industry based on it.
Especially the Midwest.
Industry, yeah.
Very huge in the Midwest.
What's really hard is when you first get the chastity belts, they're made out of irons. So you still have to cure them in the oven, rub them with oil, cook them at 500 degrees. You don't want to rust it.
Yours are iron, mine were pewter.
Well, you're fancy.
Well,
where did you get that money, dude?
so I'm not trying to up y'all. I don't even have a kid. I just wanted one.
If you really wanted to up it, you'd want tungsten.
That's just being greedy.
That metal is tough as shit.
I mean, I don't want to. I mean, you still gotta reproduce. I mean, come on, you can't get that off at all.
Jesus fuck. Okay. Speaking about women's reproductive rights, there's the election coming up.
Yeah, there is.
That was a good segue, right? Yeah.
Good transition.
So,
now that we've killed that good transition by pointing it out.
Here, let me have an Oreo.
Alright.
Oh, wait, Oreos are vegan? I put bacon in my soup today. So, anyway, I'm voting for, I don't know yet.
Can you hear me chewing?
Yeah. This is good, good quality. Good quality. I'm going to go ahead and let's just all have an Oreo.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Quick Oreo break, folks. Sorry.
Okay. So living in Utah, where we know the Electoral College is going to go for Mitt Romney, do you feel it's still important to vote?
I vote based on other issues.
Okay. So it's important to you on this election. Okay, let me rephrase that. As an anarchist, do you think it's important to vote?
Yeah. I'm living in a society right now, and I don't want to live in a fucked society.
So why do so many... I don't know, how do you feel about it?
I'm not registered to vote. I haven't voted. I didn't vote in the 2008 election. That was my first time where I was eligible. I'm not voting in this one. I'll probably register to vote because my stance on it has changed over time.
So were you one of the anarchists, or I'm an anarchist, fuck voting?
Yeah.
Like the whole I'm a Golden stance kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of a stance where my viewpoint is that no matter who I vote for, the country's still going to be fucked up in some kind of way, shape, or form. It's just going to manifest itself slightly differently, whichever candidate gets in. And I still think that way to a degree, but there's certain candidates where I'm starting to feel a lot more like I want to vote for them. I want to give them that support because why not? I'm given the option to vote. I might as well use it.
Yeah, when I first got into voting, it was in 2000, and that one was when Nader was really trying to really start the third party candidacy for the Green Party. And up until that point, I was kind of like, you should only vote for really local things. Fuck everything else. When I say local, I'm talking about the school board local.
Yeah,
not just even fuck governor, because that
right.
But after just growing up and looking at it, I feel there's way more of a polarization, which it sucks because I don't believe two parties can represent an entire country's viewpoints. It shouldn't represent the viewpoints.
No, there's never this or that.
Exactly, but the polarization that's happened, I think, is so stark in so many different ways. Well, if you were looking at like when Bill Clinton first ran against George H. Bush or whatever, sorry, they didn't have the issues where like there was no issue of whether or not rape should be a real rape or not. Right. You know what I mean? Everyone kind of agreed rape is fucking rape.
Yeah.
And like, and I think the extremes of both sides have pushed people to the polarization that and I think it's interesting as anarchists, we're kind of like, actually we're self-proclaimed anarchists, because if they ever wrote a news article about us, they would make sure to put that in there, which I never understood, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a bad thing to be an anarchist, like, but I guess I'm a self-proclaimed anarchist.
No, I love when, just a side note, I love when they say things like the militias and stuff like that. They're just like, a militia of anarchists. It's like,
wish there was a militia of anarchists.
Our view of anarchists compared to a militia of people who...
Oh, I know.
Yeah. It's like,
wait.
This is not anarchy to me.
Yeah. But like we have like that unique perspective where we're like, okay, I don't really agree with either side. Like I can see this, but granted, on this way I view more on this one. This one I view more on this one. Like for me personally, like there's issues on both the Republican and Democratic Party that I can get behind, and I know a lot of people would be like, what the fuck? But
Republicans?
Like, yeah, but like gun control, I am not a fan of gun control at all. Like period. And it's really funny because I know a lot of anarchists who are huge proponents of gun control. And I'm like, hey, you want an assault weapon? Get a fucking assault weapon. Why the fuck do I care?
Right.
Well, but that, like, with that...
I believe that the focus should be on responsible ownership and then stopping people that shouldn't be owners from being owners. Not, like people that, like Jordan, who are mentally ill. Things like that. No slam or anything. Just,
Not allowed to have one anyways. Thanks, jerk.
But you're not a felon.
Not.
So you can have one once your probation's over with. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm holding all of them for you. Well, I mean, I have your AR-15 still.
He's kidding. Jesus.
Shit. I still have some of your C4 left.
Yeah, funny. So when I'm in prison next week...
How are we going to do the podcast?
No, but, like, that's considered, like, traditional Republican issue. But I would find myself aligned with that. But when it comes to, like, women's rights and gay rights and everything like that, I'm way more farther to the other side than even Democrats are. Like,
Yeah.
It blows my mind. But
this
election, I think it's so stark. Like, to me, this election represents, fuck the economy, that's not that important to me. I think they're both going to fuck it up either way. Because it has to do with capitalism and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
The thing to me is women's rights and gay rights.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Supreme Court. Because whoever's going to be the next president is going to get at least one, maybe two nominees to the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's something that's just like, it's so crazy what's going on with like the discussions, that some of the things that they spew out of their mouths, like that if a woman was raped, then it's what God wanted. It's like, what kind of bullshit is that?
But it's not bullshit, like, because they have to take that stance. Because if they take the stance that everything, like especially like Mormonism or Catholicism, where they believe that everything is done as preordained, that is what God's will is, then everything that happens is because God wants it to. There's obviously religious people who don't believe that, but the hardcore right, they believe that everything is God's will. So that means rape is God's will, incest is God's will, murder is God's will.
So if someone saves my life, do I really have free will?
No. Well, I think it's the whole question of what free will really is. But they have to take that logical extension. You're backing them into a corner otherwise. Yeah. Because they can't say, well, yes, but no. Mm-hmm. That destroys their entire ideological argument.
But it's just, some of the things that come out because of it, it's just like, you're nuts.
Yeah.
You've never voted?
Nope.
Never? Mm-mm. Have you ever, but you want to now? It's too late to register to Utah.
It's too late now.
Yeah.
I will...
So if Mia Love in the state of Utah wins by one vote, it's your fucking fault.
Oh, the rhetoric.
I know that's statistically unlikely. Oh, next to impossible, because even if there was one vote, it would go to the courts and wouldn't be decided by the one vote, it would be decided by the courts. I understand that. But...
I laugh at the fact that my mom, like, me and my dad, obviously, I tend to vote more liberal most of the time, depending, like, I don't even know if I'm going to be voting for Obama. I might vote for Joe Stein. But...
Why?
Because I think that...
Is it just because you know the Electoral College in the state of Utah is going to Romney?
That's part of it.
But then, here's something interesting. Like, I don't like this guy at all, Macklemore. I'm not a huge Macklemore fan. He's a fat fuck. For some reason, I can't get behind a lot of what he says. But one of the things that I thought that he said the other day was really interesting was that even people who live in states that aren't swing states, where they know there's going to be either a strong Democratic majority or a strong Republican majority, they still need to vote for a non-third party to make sure that Obama wins the public vote. Because right now...
What does it matter if he wins the public vote?
Because it creates a mandate. Right now, if you go off by what's that website, 838 or 538, whatever, they're projecting him to win. They're projecting Obama to win by like a landslide. And they're the most accurate people out there. They
electoral or public?
Electoral.
Okay.
But they're projecting that Mitt Romney might win the popular vote.
And that's what I thought anyway.
Because you take the states like Alabama, 80-90% of the population is going to vote for Mitt Romney.
Right.
But, you take some of the closer states and it's going to be closer to 50-50. But Alabama doesn't have that many electoral college, but the populace vote puts it up.
But on the same note, if 5% of the public vote can go to a third-party candidate, then that will...
Which I'm all for.
2016 will give a lot more opportunity to these third-party
And
candidates.
that's why, I worked... I shouldn't say I worked really hard. I worked a little bit on the Nader campaign.
Yeah.
Other people worked really hard.
Hershey.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Hershey being one.
Hershey?
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, Dana Hershey.
Yeah, Dana.
I thought you were talking about, Hershey Empire. I'm like,
no.
What?
Yes, it's the Hershey chocolate Empire.
I'm like, whoa. Yeah, no, Dana Hershey. But he only got a little over 4%, didn't he?
Yep.
If I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the closest a third party's ever gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really think that the third party is going to be close to this election?
No.
And then here's another question. How much should we, as white males, middle-class Americans, have the right to sit back and complain about our political system when the rest of the world really does still have it way fucking worse?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
For sure.
just alone in, believe in... I know some countries, they force people, you are required by law to vote. That alone is...
I think Australia is one of them.
It's fucking crazy. I mean, I think Argentina or Colombia...
See, and then at least the question, do you want those kind of fucking idiots to vote? Do you really want everyone to vote?
No.
As an anarchist, we say, I've never met an anarchist who doesn't believe in consensus.
Yeah.
But do you
At the
really
same time-
want everyone involved?
Yeah. Do you know who the vice president is? No.
Okay.
I know what the first...
I had one of my employees, this is right after the vice presidential debate, and so one of my employees came to me, and there was 3 or 4 of them there, and they're like, oh, did you watch the vice presidential debate? I'm like, oh, I did.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my employees was like, oh, there's a vice presidential debate? She's like, between who? And I'm like, between Biden and Ryan. And she's like, well, which one's the vice president? And my mouth dropped, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, Sally, do you vote? She's like, yeah. I'm like, please don't. Just don't. I don't give a fuck who you were going to vote for. You shouldn't be voting. If people can't take that much civic duty.
Well, that's what I've been talking to my mom about. And I'm a hypocrite myself. Don't get me wrong. I don't know who's running for every single office.
Oh, no.
But on a local level... I mean, that's why people do usually straight Democrat, straight Republican, whatever. And, but on issues like who's running against Orrin Hatch, if you don't like Orrin Hatch, then you
vote against him.
Yeah.
You're not voting for somebody, yeah. But I'm even really bad. I've always, I don't even remember who gave me this idea. Every election I've ever voted in, I've gone in and I said no to every fucking judge.
Me too.
Every fucking judge. I don't give a shit. Just no.
No offense, Judge.
But
that's just my political view.
I just believe that in that type of position they should be changed. Yeah,
they should definitely. I also vote against police.
Yeah, I do too. It's constant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially, in an elected position, you. I don't know. You should be cycled, definitely.
So what do you guys think of Mia Love?
I don't really know anything about
you may love Mia Love.
All I know is I keep getting phone calls on my cell phone from her.
I'm getting all sorts of phone calls.
And it really pisses me off because I have unlimited minutes, but if I didn't, each phone call is a fucking minute long.
Yeah, and cell phones.
And then they leave a message that's a minute long if I don't answer.
Yeah.
And if I had a prepaid phone, you have to pay to get your messages.
Oh yeah.
What a fucking whore!
Hey,
She's just stealing from poor people.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Matheson's probably doing the same thing. Don't get me wrong. I haven't gone to Matheson.
what I find really really odd about Mia Love's campaign is they have so much money going into it, but
It's all out of the... Well, both him and both me and Matheson, it's all coming from out of the state.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a really contested...
Oh, yeah.
But if you're not from Utah and you're listening to this, you have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. Right?
Yeah, they would.
They would really know. No. Which is funny, because, like, okay, so Matheson, he's in Congress, right?
Congress.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Senate is a hatch.
Yeah.
How?
So he's in Congress, and he's a Democrat in Utah, which is pretty fucking rare. But if you really look at his voting record, he's not a Democrat. Like
straight up, yeah.
But on like the hardcore issues, like he would still side with the president on things like women's rights and things like that.
Yeah, and I believe he just relies like too heavily on crossover votes and stuff like that. Like, and so if he loses, it's his own fault, really. And so, here, have an Oreo. You have a. Okay, you're welcome.
One for Mom, please.
Okay. How's your chastity belt, Phil?
Huh?
It's okay. Never mind. Anyway, that's a brief interruption there. Another Oreo interruption.
An Oreo interruption.
Yeah, like I saw Mia Love's signs. They were lined along the fence near my house, right? Mm-hmm. And Jim Matheson had two that he'd moved up a little bit farther near a light pole, and so they were in front of hers, but they were in a different section. The next day, I saw Mia Love's signs lined completely where his were to overpower it, and it was probably at least 50 to 1 sign. So there's about 100 signs for the two that he had.
Not even getting into like the politics of both of the candidates.
It's just a waste, though.
Well, no, I agree with that. That is just a waste. Like, we could talk about the money in politics, and it's a fucking joke. But, so Mia Love is what they've been calling her, the mayor of
Saratoga Springs.
Saratoga Springs is not an incorporated city, which means that they don't technically have a mayor. She's what's called a city manager, and it's a part-time position that pays less than $20,000 a year. So she was... But, for a government position, we're not talking like this is, that's the only, as far as I'm aware of, the only government position she's ever held. What the fuck makes her qualified to then go to Congress?
Absolutely nothing.
Like, honestly, like, fuck politics aside, like, there is how does being a city manager and people in your city hate you, like, when they do the polling in Saratoga Springs, she's losing, like, hard. Like,
well, she pulled that city around. She cut funding.
She actually raised taxes, which is really funny. She raised the taxes out of like, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I believe that in their situations in that city they needed to raise the taxes, but for someone who was like, I will never raise taxes, well, your record kind of shows you do.
Yeah.
Like, which, I mean, I believe if someone's governing, they have to be able to make those type of calls, because I think her taxes are way too low right now, personally. But a whole other argument.
Honestly, it sucks because what I really hate about our system, one of the things is I don't like Jim Matheson and I don't like Mia Love, but I'm voting for Jim Matheson.
I completely agree. I hate Mia Love, and I don't like Jim Matheson.
Yeah, and
so it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
you vote for the one you don't like as opposed to the one that you hate.
But I feel the same way about Obama.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I loathe Romney.
But Obama's choices just is what's getting me to not even want to vote for him.
I still blame Romney for having my house raided by Joint Terrorism Task Force.
You blame him?
I personally blame him.
Why?
Because the warrant that was signed to raid my house by the Joint Terrorism Task Force was signed because the Olympics were coming here, and it was signed by the person who was in charge of Olympic security.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Which, by the way, should be mentioned, nothing ever happened.
What do you mean?
With that?
With the Olympics?
No, with you're not convicted.
Yeah, I did not get convicted. That is
yeah,
correct.
Just note that.
Yes,
I'm
I was
associating with criminals.
Yeah, you're not associating with known criminals. I was not convicted. And one of the things they did tell me, and this is the same reason they arrested Eric Ward, and they told Eric Ward the same thing at the same time, was that they told us that we weren't allowed in downtown Salt Lake City during the Olympics. They said that they would arrest us and hold us until the Olympics were.
Weren't we the only two people that they...
They threatened a couple other ones, but we were the only two that they actually arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they would have arrested Sabrina if they could have found her.
Yeah.
I think she was still a minor at the time, though.
Was she? Yeah.
She might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't blame you there.
And the quote that she put in the paper about me at the time is the reason that they didn't drop my bail to zero, and because I had a $100,000 bail, and they said I was a danger to society because of the quote that she put up into the news media.
Yeah.
I'm not denying the quote; it's a funny quote.
Yeah.
But my parents were pissed.
Well, I bet. Your parents put their house down?
Yeah, my parents put their house up to get me out, and I actually told them not to. I was actually mad about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, let me stay in jail. You're not putting up this money. You'll fucking just lose it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
If you put it up, if you put the 10% up, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me stay in jail. And they're like, no. But they put it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they never really talk about it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah. It's nice of
them.
Yeah. It's funny, that was the exact opposite of my parents. I was arrested at the RNC in 2008, also not convicted. But I called my parents and asked for some help. It was like a $300 bail. And
so it was a $3,000...
No, the bail itself was only...
Oh, it was only $3... So it was a $30 bond?
Yeah, and they wouldn't post it. I didn't have anything in my savings account at the time.
So why did they arrest you at the RNC?
So the story goes something like this. It was the first day of the RNC, and I had participated in a few marches around the Capitol building at St. Paul. And then there was a concert going on the Mississippi riverfront. We went down to a park on the riverfront to listen to the music because Rage Against the Machine and Atmosphere were both playing.
I hate Zach De La Rocha.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But, so we were across from the concert. We were on the other side of the Mississippi River, and we started... There were a bunch of people there, but we started hearing about a bunch of Black Bloc kids and starting a riot about 3 to 4 blocks up the street.
Yeah.
And they were having a standoff with the cops. And the cops pushed them into the park, surrounded the park, actually had Coast Guard boats on the Mississippi River in case anyone tried to jump into the river, and arrested everyone in the park. I believe there were 350 of us there. Wow. And they did that as a means of trying to single out the people who were a part of
the Black Bloc.
The Black Bloc.
You know, what's funny is that I have a pretty similar story at the DNC in 2000 in LA.
Oh, really?
But they weren't as prepared back then. The cops weren't.
Yep.
But it was similar. Rage Against the Machine was playing. And this is one of the reasons that I can't stand them. Rage Against the Machine was playing, and there was the Black Bloc facing off against the police on the line of where the convention was being held on the 18-foot wall, and we were taking down the fence, literally, and it was a full-on, and we're right next to this huge crowd of about 30,000 people, and we tried to send somebody up to have Rage Against the Machine tell everyone, look, we need help, you know, because, they were tramping people with horses, all the stuff that, they do. Yep. They were lighting fires, they kept randomly shooting the tear gas, paintballs, what do you call them, just into the crowd right there.
Yep.
And so they started putting the signs up along the fence, so they couldn't do that. So they'd go up and the cops would light the signs on fire. So then we would take the signs that were lit on fire and throw them back at the cops. So it is, it was that back and forth. Yeah. And so we're like, if we just get them to pay attention, then it would sway the tides. And they refused to announce what was going on.
Of course.
But I will say one of the most inspirational things I've ever seen. I have no idea who the guys were. There's 2 anarchist kids that climbed to the top of this fence. They had the razor wire on the top of the fence, like they always do. And these 2 kids were straddling the razor wire, being bombarded with tear gas, rocks, everything the cops were throwing at them. And they just stood there waving an anarchist flag. Just on the top, just defiant. Awesome. They're bawling, it was the most awesome scene I've ever seen in my life. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But fuck Zach De La Rocha.
Yeah.
very self-aggrandizing.
Oh, yeah. But I believe that's needed sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, it's needed, like, to show, like, other people there that, like, look, it's okay to stand up to this authority figure. Like, people who aren't that hard anarchist line at that time, they're looking at being like, oh, it's okay to look at a cop and be like, fuck you. Like, they don't have to have that authority.
I'm not saying it's not awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you need that to help build people onto it. But I believe most protests are self-aggrandizing anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just personally. I mean, I don't know what the...
I don't know if I was talking about it, like the gay rights demonstration for the Proposition 8 that was downtown. Because I don't know if y'all know, but the Mormon Church was heavily involved in
4 years ago today.
Creating the proposition.
By the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
Yeah. And so, the cops were telling us that we had to march in a single file line, and I decided that I was sick of that, and so I stood to the side and decided to have a spontaneous protest right there, and they told me that I need to keep moving, and I informed them that it was a spontaneous protest, and that I have the right to do so. And so they were trying to address some people who were near me who I didn't even know. They said, come on, get your friend, he's causing a scene, he's going to get himself arrested. And one of them came over and reached their hand out at me, and I thought they were going to pull me away. And they just, they grabbed my hand and they stood right next to me. We locked hands, and that was it. And then a whole bunch of other people just started forming a line. And, it was inspiring. It was awesome.
Yeah, those things are inspiring.
But did it really do anything?
Well, it
stood up to authority.
It strengthened your resolve, which is something, and I think it strengthened those individuals' resolve.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some very similar things.
And the cops went away.
How long were you being held in the RNC? I'm sure they just dropped all charges and let everyone go, right?
Right. They held us. They originally intended to hold us through the convention.
How long? How many? That's too many days, though, right?
That's 3 days, 4 days max.
Yeah, they probably could have got away with it then.
Yeah, and it was really funny too because I was in the county facility there, and we were the first night I was there, we were in the rec room, or the common space of the block we were in, and I was looking at the bulletin board in the common space, and they had a calendar up that kind of had all the events that went on for the prisoners. So Monday, Bible study happens in this room at this time, that kind of thing. And from the 1st to the 4th of September, the only thing in the dates was just RNC. So they were anticipating mass arrests and mass holdings in that facility, and a lot of the inmates weren't very stoked on that.
Were they just kind of like spoiled white kids?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and on the last night I was there, we got moved into a block with a bunch of prisoners who were, people who were actually in jail for
being in jail.
Probably
mostly marijuana.
Right.
Yeah.
But our instruction was to not make eye contact or talk to any of them, otherwise we would be put in solitary confinement. And it was I don't know.
You were placed in general population, but you weren't allowed to.
Right. Were they worried that you would educate them of what their actual rights are?
I don't know. That it was either that or they were worried that we were going to get our asses kicked by these guys. It was probably their legitimate worry, but, because a lot of them were pretty upset that we were all in there and kind of taking up all their space. They all had to be moved as well. They weren't happy with us being there.
But it was a county facility, right? It wasn't like a federal jail.
No, it was a county facility.
Yeah.
So
you're not talking usually county only holds people for maximum 5 years usually.
Right.
So you're not talking crazy. Yeah.
And I could attest to that though. Like when you have, your space and they make you move, it's not a very pleasant experience having to move all of your stuff to a new place and then reset it all up. But
only to move back.
Only move back.
And their mind, in these prisoners or in these inmates' mind, it's dumbass white kids getting arrested for jack shit.
Yeah. But it really should be that they should be looking at the police and saying they're the ones that did the arresting of these dumbass things.
Yeah.
But and that's where the education comes in.
Yeah.
So
all I know is that the little bit of time I've spent in jail, it's been all that happens is you educate all the other prisoners. They're like, why are you in here? And you explain it to them. You explain to them why you have the beliefs you have, and they're like, that is fucking awesome. Right. You know, like when hunger strike for 2 weeks, they're like, seriously, why won't you eat? You know, and you explain it to them, they're like, I got your back. Here's some salt packets. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and you experience the same thing, probably. Yeah.
They're
that's crazy.
Oh, we'll make sure you eat. It's one of the things that they really, they really,
little baby
crying.
Vaseline.
They make sure that you're taken care of, and it's kind of a concept that some people are just like weirds them out. Like, why would a prisoner take care of another prisoner, especially if it's putting themselves in trouble? Like, you can't give food to another prisoner.
Well, it's because you're instantly part of this community where it's an us and them thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's because it's your community.
So at the RNC in 2008, was that your first major?
Yes.
What was your impression of it?
Overall, my impression of it was that the tactics being used were dated.
Protest tactics or?
Protest tactics.
Okay, what tactics were really being used? I think the black bloc. Like, how organized was the black bloc?
Say that again?
Like, how organized was the actual black bloc?
Well,
it was very disorganized.
Really?
Definitely. There were a lot of people who were intending on being a part of it, but they kind of bailed. A lot of people bailed, and there were multiple black blocs going on in multiple areas. There's just no communication in terms of trying to organize one solid unit to march.
Because I've been involved in black blocs where it's very disorganized and then very organized, and they're totally different things.
Yeah,
like it's a totally different experience.
Well, I think that the RNC had just gotten the RNC welcoming committee had just gotten busted up, right?
Right, and I think that was a tactic in part of the state government to kind of deflate the entire protest. Was on the eve of the protest, the morning of August 31st. The House of the Welcoming Committee, which was the group of folks who were organizing everything for the protest, ranging from housing for people coming from out of town to protest areas, maps indicating the free speech zone in areas where you could legally march, but also areas where they were thinking about marching otherwise, that kind of thing. Their house got raided, they all got arrested, and that news of that got out, and everyone was just kind of disenchanted by it.
But then here's my other thing. One of the big things that they did was they took away their puppetry, right? Like they had the big masquerade signs and other puppet signs.
Yeah.
And I've never understood any of that. I've been a part of several of the very large protests, and those have always been a huge part of it. And I've never understood it.
Doing that at the Occupy stuff now too. They're making masks and puppets illegal. It's like, why? The mask one. That's one that, although it's stupid, I can understand because they want to see people's faces.
Yeah.
Puppets though.
So. One thing that was very interesting to me, this would have been in 2000, I believe. I was at an anarchist conference, and they were talking about how to move tactics forward in these protests.
Right.
And one of the things that was brought up was that the old system of the police was divide and conquer. Like you would try to divide and break up the actors movement, the old COINTELPRO days, where you try to discredit people and separate them from the movement, and that they believed that their new strategy was you unite and control. So you make people feel like they have to come together. You make people feel like they have to be part of this large organization. Within that large organization, they can control the fringes. Yeah. So, how do you feel about that? Whether or not, just from my point of view, whether or not that's an actual plan from the government, I've seen that at play. Where especially when you go in and you're you are a vegan anarchist and you don't want certain things being done. They're going to be like, well, you need to you got to be a part of everyone else. You got to let that go. Like using horses or using animals in certain ways, or
It's when you just sit down and don't do it.
Yeah, which has happened. But do you think that's an actual tactic?
Well, unite and control.
Yeah,
definitely.
So how do you overcome something like that? Do you want to come into splinter cells? Do you want to go off and be more like the IRA? But then again, it's national protest. Do you want to really go underground for these type of? Do you know what I mean? Is it really?
Well, and I think that the government definitely caught on to something there. It's a lot easier to use unite and control as a tactic because there's no easy way to fight it.
Yeah, how do you? Yeah.
So, and I guess, I don't know, a lot of the solutions I've heard being theorized to that problem, and I'm trying to think of any examples off the top of my head, but the problem with protesting and activism today is that I think there's a lot of awesome ideas, but they're just so hard to implement, because I think that the Unite and Control method is totally working. And when I think of the movement, any kind of movement at all, and mostly underground, animal rights movements on the underground, any kind of activism, it's totally died off since I first started becoming involved 5 years ago.
If you go back to serious anarchism, activism was all underground also. When you go back clear into the day in the 20s and 30s when they had all the bombings and everything else, that was all underground.
Right.
None of that was above ground.
Right.
So how do you get anarchism to be not so demonized and actually talked about in an intellectual fashion anymore? Mm-hmm. Like, you tell people you're an anarchist and you're like, let me explain. Right. It's not like,
Yeah, and that's the problem, I think, again, is that, for instance, I'm in a humanities class in college right now, and we brought up anarchism and veganism have been brought up twice, and the overwhelming majority of the class pretty much says out loud, well, anarchists can be taken seriously. Vegans can be taken seriously.
But why? Why is there... I understand the demonization has happened since the Red
Right.
Scare and pushed it away, but why can't you have an intellectual discussion about anarchism? Like, what's stopping society from doing that? I'll talk to professors and they won't have an intellectual discussion about it. They're just like, they blow it off.
The things that I hear most are, well, we need a policing body because there's bad people in the world, and how are we going to, that kind of
and maybe this is just because my view of an anarchist society, as I've gotten older and probably more jaded, has changed a little bit. Like, I kind of view an anarchist society the way that most Americans view our democratic society. We don't live in a true democracy,
right?
But we tell each other we live in a true democracy. And I believe an anarchist society would be more along those lines, where it's based on anarchist principles, but it's not 100% anarchist, if that makes sense.
It does. Yep.
Because we live in a constitutional republic, technically, and there's how many different offshoots you want to say and how many ways it's changed. But, so I do believe that there will, no matter what, would still be a small policing body. Because, everything that I've ever known is like, if somebody's killing somebody, you just happen to not be part of society. Well, how do you remove somebody from society?
Right. And
it might not be a formal, you just whisper, kill them.
Yeah, going back to the idea of not being able to hold a decent discussion about anarchism or veganism or any of these sorts of ideas, I think it just goes back to, as much as we hate to admit it, the mainstream controls so much in terms of how people perceive things. If you look back, again, into the 30s, 40s era, there's the same kind of idea surrounding civil rights.
Yeah.
Those people aren't taken seriously. And while it sucks that anarchists and animal rights activists aren't taken seriously today, I think that's a huge step from before, where they were completely demonized and viewed as radicals.
I would say animal rights activists haven't come that far, but I think veganism has.
Yeah.
And I think there's a distinction between the two in people's minds.
Right. Although I think that there's a distinction between the two. One, they feed off of each other in a really good way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of the same as the civil rights movement, where if you really think about it, I think that the more radical branch of it, such as the Black Panthers and the Nation of Islam and stuff, you have that side, but then you have Martin Luther King and the more peaceful side. And as much as everyone still to this day, in the mainstream anyway, kind of demonizes Malcolm X or the Black Panthers, what is interesting to me is I think that those two movements fed off of each other and were really...
And they were interesting. Yeah, I certainly believe you needed both of them.
Exactly.
And I've never believed in the demonization of either one of them.
Right.
But I've always hated the fact that, that how much the Nation of Islam and the Black Panthers and move later on, how they're demonized.
Bro, yeah.
Compared to, well, why can't you just be peaceful? Because peace doesn't change. And it's really hard, to say, I'm an anarchist, I don't believe in violence, because I think violence creates hierarchy, but I'm not a pacifist.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a
sure.
distinction a lot of people can't quite grasp.
Yeah, but then there's the distinction of violence anyway. Malcolm X, everyone says, well, he was violent. Malcolm X wasn't violent.
How is he violent?
He never fired a gun, so...
I fired a gun.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of interesting to view it in that way. And I think that years down the line, it's quite possible that, veganism, like you said, has made far strides. And I think that in the future, if it continues to make strides and becomes more of a mainstream accepted viewpoint, animal rights, veganism, it's going to be the same
It's
thing.
on the coattails of it, I guess. Yeah.
Right. But in the future, it's going to be kind of the same thing where even people who begin to accept it will be like, well, those radical ALF, ELF guys, I don't know what their problem was. It was the peaceful activists that really made a change, which is total bullshit. Not true.
Yeah, totally not true.
You got your Gandhi complex going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I think the only difference is that, well, no, I don't want to say the only difference. I was going to say that animal rights activists are pacifists, or real pacifists, and like, God, you could beat his wife, but I don't believe that they're real pacifists anyways. Like, I think pacifism is a privileged standpoint. You're privileged to be able to make it because you don't have to make the choice of having to use violence.
And like just for example, Burma, what was happening in Burma, and I like to use this example when people talk about, oppression and stuff like that, and just our rights to be pacifists.
Yeah.
They were not allowed to record things that were going on. Even they couldn't have photography. They weren't allowed to have cameras, video cameras, stuff like that, because the government was pretty much fucking them over. And there were people who decided, some Buddhist monks, they decided that, well, I'm still going to be peaceful about this. And what happened to those Buddhist monks is pretty much they just got shot point blank in the head. And they had the right to choose that pacifism.
Yeah.
And I totally respect that.
I respect somebody who chooses that path because, like, I won't put down any tactic.
Mm-hmm.
I think every tactic should be open.
Yeah.
And all tactics should be open.
Yeah.
At least for discussion.
But I don't see these pacifists. I don't see, if there was a tank that's going down the street shooting people in the faces, I don't see our privileged society being like, oh, okay, no, we need to be pacifists. No, I see them either running and hiding, or
not just saying, shoot me in the face.
Yeah, they're not going to be saying, shoot me in the face.
Shoot me in the face, no.
And so, I feel, if we're being oppressed to a point, if it ever got to that point for us, then I'm gonna be shooting back.
This is the beautiful and the sad thing about our society, is that our society is set to be able to change. Like it's almost, I will always do it kind of like a pressure cooker. Like our society will allow pressure to build up on certain issues, but then there's always built-in valves to let the steam go without actually making any real change.
Yeah, right.
And that's what sucks about our society.
You could look like even the Occupy movement has done that.
Yeah, it's not the worst in the world, but it's not perfect and it's not the best it should be. But they have the built-in mechanisms to calm people down when they do start to rise and make the little small changes, that aren't the big changes that most people are asking for, And that's one of the reasons I don't know if a revolution in the United States is almost possible.
We love to celebrate our small victories, and I think that that's important, but we also need to realize that small victory is not an overall victory. And I think, but I don't...
One small victory, it's just that.
Yeah.
People get too excited.
But I definitely support celebrating those small victories, though, because I don't think people do that enough.
Here's something funny, okay? For some reason, I've always been really proud of this, and it's the stupidest thing in the world to be proud of. Me and a friend were at a tree sit up in Oregon, and we got arrested for crossing a fire road that was closed by going point A to B, not traveling along it, by going point A to B. And we were arrested, charged with a federal crime because it was closed because of the tree sit. Well, we fought it. I shouldn't say we. Lawyers fought it. I signed a piece of paper so they would fight it, right? But they fought it, and they won, and changed federal law.
Reagan, right?
That was that? I believe it was Lauren, yeah. So they changed federal law, because I've always been really proud that I was part of something that changed federal law. But in the grand scheme of things, that fucking does nothing. Yeah. All we did was change it so you couldn't arrest somebody from going from point A to point B along a fire road if it was closed. Literally, that's it. But I changed federal law,
Yeah. It's still great, though. I mean, you got your KXL, the tree sitters right now. Yeah, it might be relevant for them. So you never know. You got tree.
I don't know. It just seems funny that we celebrate such little things.
But it's important to celebrate the small things so that we don't burn ourselves out like I've done.
Oh, I think we're all burned out. I mean,
Yeah,
It's
burning bridges.
burning bridges. That's right.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We got too serious. Dicks.
Yep.
Oh, man. What else did you want to talk about, Jordan?
Now it's time to go.
Is it that time?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It is an hour past.
Let's call it done.
It's been good.